Bullying is a serious issue that destroys friendships and has become more common in recent years. Many children and teens face bullying at school, on playgrounds, and even online. This happens when one person hurts or picks on another repeatedly. Historically, bullying has existed for a long time, but today, it can start with just a few clicks on a phone or computer. With social media, bullies can reach their victims anywhere and anytime. This makes the problem worse, as more kids can get hurt without being seen. The key people involved in this issue include those being bullied, the bullies themselves, teachers, parents, and friends. Everyone plays a part in stopping bullying. When someone is bullied, they often feel alone, scared, or sad. They may lose friends and feel like they don't belong anymore. This loss can lead to many struggles, such as low self-esteem and mental health problems. Friendships can break apart when trust is lost. Many personal stories show the impact of bullying. For instance, think of a boy named Tyler. He was once lively and loved playing soccer. However, when some kids started teasing him about his weight, he became sad and stopped playing with his friends. Tyler felt lonely and thought no one liked him. Unlike before, he wanted to stay home instead of going to school. Stories like Tyler's highlight why bullying matters today. It can take away joy and connection. As communities, we face the challenge of changing how we treat each other. Bullying is not just a school problem. It affects everyone. It's essential to talk about this issue, learn from experiences, and support one another. By focusing on kindness, understanding, and acceptance, we can create a friendlier world for everyone. As Tyler walked down the hall that first day of school after the summer break, a knot twisted in his stomach. The laughter of other kids echoed around him, but he felt alone. This was the moment when his struggles began to take shape. Before summer, he had friends, but now there was a shadow looming over him. The teasing had seeped into his life and made him question who he was. The fun he used to have felt distant, and self-doubt took its place. Every day became a battle against negative thoughts, as he worried about what others might say to him. Would he face more mean jokes? Would anyone come to help him? This experience wasn't unique to Tyler. Many kids face fear and sadness from bullying every year. The root cause of bullying isn't just about one person being mean to another. It often comes from a long-standing culture and certain rules in schools and society. Many children learn that it's okay to pick on others because they want to fit in or feel powerful themselves. Sadly, in some parts of the school, being different can feel like a curse rather than a blessing. Instead of celebrating uniqueness, kids like Tyler bear the weight of those unkindnesses. Often, the bullies are influenced by what happens around them. Some may feel pressure from their friends to act tough, while others might be facing struggles of their own that they do not know how to express. They find it easier to lash out at someone else rather than dealing with their feelings. This cycle continues, with one person suffering and another thinking that their behavior is acceptable. In a bustling town like Maplewood, where Tyler lived, similar stories were unfolding. At his school, the bustling cafeteria often turned into a battlefield. Some children would shout hurtful things across the lunch tables, while others sat silently, afraid to stand up for their classmates. This created an atmosphere where kindness was rare. Families noticed changes in their children, too. Tyler's parents had started to see him retreating more into isolation, as he stopped inviting friends over for playdates. They felt helpless and didn't know how to solve the problem. Just a few streets away, a girl named Mia faced a similar fate. She enjoyed drawing and shared her art on social media. However, comments from peers about her artwork made her think she was not talented. They said hurtful things meant to belittle her dreams. Like Tyler, she spiraled into self-doubt, thinking her passion for drawing might lead to more teasing. Instead of lending support, some people chose to mock. The school also had rules and systems in place meant to stop bullying, but they were often not strict enough. Students were sometimes punished, but the root causes were left unaddressed. Teachers could not always see what happened online, especially in the age of social media, leaving children vulnerable outside the watchful eye of adults. Tyler, Mia, and others like them felt unseen, battling not just the words of bullies, but also the silence of those who could help. When we examine how bullying thrives, it is clear that it is a community issue. Families, schools, and local support systems must work together. Everyone in the community must realize that not only do some kids suffer from bullying, but so do the bullies who need help. With understanding and care, we can begin to create a shift where acceptance and kindness flourish. With each passing week, Tyler began to find small moments of courage. He still felt nervous, but alongside his fear, he also held onto a flicker of hope. During a class project about heroes, he surprised himself by volunteering to share his story. Standing in front of his classmates, he spoke about how capable he felt when he drew, even when bullying had cast a shadow over his creativity. The surprise and support from his peers that day created a small but powerful win in Tyler's journey. Even with this glimmer of bravery, he faced many challenges. Across the school, some kids still didn't grasp the seriousness of bullying. There were whispers and occasional laughs when he talked about his feelings. Certain kids seemed to enjoy the status quo, while others simply didn't know how to respond. This resistance from some classmates made it hard for him to find comfort in sharing his experience. The old ways of thinking were not easily broken. They were deeply rooted, as if the ground itself was resistant to change. In the community, voices for change began to emerge despite these obstacles. Some parents and teachers were increasingly concerned about the rising cases of bullying. A local organization called Kids Unite led programs in schools, focusing on kindness and acceptance. Laura, a counselor and founder of the group, became an expert on the subject. She believed that schools needed to do more than just punish bullies. They had to educate students on empathy and the impact of words. Laura introduced several programs to the schools, encouraging students to speak openly, share their feelings, and stand together against bullying. She suggested having kindness clubs, where kids could join and create projects that promote friendship and support. For instance, these clubs could make art displays or organize events like school cleanups that brought children together. This way, they learned to appreciate one another's talents while building a sense of community. However, some critics questioned if the programs would really change behaviors or if they would be ignored after a few months of enthusiasm. Despite mixed opinions, the effort gained momentum. Some teachers reported affirmative changes, including an increase in students standing up for one another. Tyler's story inspired more kids to share their own experiences, laying the groundwork for a more supportive atmosphere. With every word shared, students began to understand the importance of checking in on each other. The cafeteria, once filled with unease, turned into a place where students were beginning to feel safer. Tyler experienced more connections as he joined Kids Unite and felt a part of this growing movement. Through it all, there was still work to be done. The path to empathy and understanding wasn't straightforward. One boy who once bullied Tyler still struggled to change. He often reacted to stress with anger and felt stuck in his old habits. Laura emphasized tackling these issues directly, explaining that understanding is crucial for both bullies and their victims. Many in the community responded with support, attending meetings, and helping to promote kindness week by week. All around Tyler, changes were taking place slowly but surely. Each small win fed into the sense of growing confidence that was beginning to bloom. As kids learned from their experiences, they transformed their laughter from teasing to encouragement. Though the journey ahead was long, the seeds of kindness had been planted, and hope surged through the hearts of many children as they began to build a better, more inclusive environment. The school year was approaching a pivotal moment, and for Tyler and his friends, it felt like everything hung in the balance. One day, news spread like wildfire through Maplewood Middle School when students learned that a popular local athlete, Lizzy, had faced bullying herself. Lizzy, known to everyone for her skills in basketball, spoke out publicly about the hurtful messages she received on social media. During a school assembly, she bravely shared her story. This moment marked a crucial turning point, igniting a wave of support and empathy across the entire student body. Lizzy's courage resonated deeply with many students who faced similar challenges. Hearing a respected figure openly discuss bullying made them believe it was okay to talk about their own experiences. The cheer and applause that marked the end of her speech sent a signal that things were changing. In the days that followed, conversations about kindness grew louder. Tyler felt the energy around him shift. No longer was bullying a quiet, lonely struggle. It became a topic everyone wanted to address. This new wave of support did not go unnoticed by the media. Local news outlets began covering the impact of bullying in schools, showcasing students who stood together against it and highlighting the work of groups like Kids Unite. They aired segments on bravery and unity that influenced parents and educators alike. The coverage sparked a dialogue beyond Maplewood, reaching other towns and eventually catching the attention of community leaders. With increased visibility, some local officials proposed new policies aimed at anti-bullying programs. The momentum felt right, yet Tyler noticed that not everyone was on board. With such promising changes, there came a powerful backlash. Some people, including a few parents and even some city council members, argued that the schools were overreacting. They dismissively waved away the campaigns, claiming that bullying was merely a part of growing up that kids should be able to handle on their own. This attitude angered many students and parents who had faced the painful effects of bullying. Members of Kids Unite organized a peaceful protest, encouraging students to wear bright colors to symbolize hope and unity. They planned to gather at the town square to show support for the new policies and their belief that bullying should no longer be accepted. Around this time, social media buzzed with energy. Hashtags like #StandWithTyler and #InBullying became trending topics. Students from other schools voiced their support and shared their stories of overcoming bullying. Friends of Tyler jumped in, posting selfies together and spreading positive messages. They believed they could stir real change, and they were right. The organizing community came out in droves for the protest, filling the square with excitement. As the crowd assembled, Tyler felt both nervous and empowered. He stood with his friends, their smiles reflecting hope. Activists and speakers shared their stories of overcoming pain while steering the conversation towards creating safe spaces for everyone. Tyler couldn't believe how far he had come from feeling scared every day. He listened as Lizzy called for policy changes and an end to the old mindset. "This is our moment," she exclaimed, her voice ringing out with certainty. Yet, amid this swell of courage, Tyler also sensed the looming challenge ahead. Some local schools had yet to embrace a genuine commitment to anti-bullying policies. Would the public outcry and viral awareness be enough? Stepping up to the microphone, he knew he had to speak. The moment of truth was upon him. He took a breath, prepared to share not just his struggles, but the dreams of a supportive community. With the crowd cheering for him, Tyler felt this was the moment where everything could change, not just for him, but for all the kids who dared to reach for kindness. The moment finally arrived when Tyler stood in front of a packed crowd during the peaceful protest. A mix of nerves and excitement coursed through him as he felt the hundreds of eyes trained on him. After months of feeling small and scared, speaking in front of so many people transformed his anxiety into determination. He looked out and saw familiar faces in the crowd. Friends, family, and even kids he didn't know showed their support wearing bright colors, symbols of hope and change. With a deep breath, Tyler began to share his story. "I used to feel too scared to come to school. Every day, I faced jokes about my weight and my love for drawing." The crowd listened closely, sensing the raw honesty of his words. He explained how he had withdrawn from activities that once brought him joy. "But then I realized I wasn't alone," he continued. "I found friends who believed in kindness. We need to stand together, tell our stories, and support one another because everyone deserves to feel safe." As he spoke, a tide of claps and cheers rippled through the crowd. Tyler's moment of vulnerability resonated deeply with many. Among them was Lizzy, who looked on with pride, knowing that their community was waking up to the truth. But not everyone was silent. At the edge of the crowd, a few skeptical voices shouted back, questioning the value of the protest. "It's just kids whining," one person yelled, revealing the division still present in the community. The confrontation ignited a fire in other speakers, who stood ready at the microphone. They didn't allow the negativity to overshadow the message. A teacher stepped forward, heartfully sharing stories of students and their struggles. Participants began chanting together, "No more bullying! Yes to kindness!" The passion was palpable, and each chant filled the air with hope. At that moment, something shifted within Tyler. He realized that not only was he speaking for himself, but for every victim of bullying. Their voices united in this shared struggle created a powerful force. As more participants spoke out against the negativity, there was a palpable change in energy. The crowd swelled with enthusiasm and determination. This unity was inspiring. It felt as if they were demanding respect, hope, and a promise for a better future. For many involved, this event felt like a breakthrough, the pinnacle of their fight against an age-old issue. They urged local leaders to take action, and soon city council members began to respond. They listened to the voices flowing from the square, realizing the weight behind the group's demand for change. Tyler's powerful speech and the voices of so many others stirred up a resolve in them to confront the challenges of bullying directly. Days after the protest, the momentum continued. Local media started covering the call for change, sharing Tyler's moving words and the powerful messages collectively delivered at the rally. Some leaders announced plans to create stricter anti-bullying policies in schools. They said they would incorporate programs that promoted empathy, showcasing stories to inspire kindness among students. Parents and community groups rallied around this initiative, pushing for concrete changes both inside and outside the classrooms. The emotional ripple effect was evident. Victims of bullying felt seen and hopeful, while former bullies began reevaluating their actions, asking themselves if they had a role to play in the shift towards kindness. Like a tide, the movement seemed to encourage open conversations about mental health, acceptance, and support. More young voices joined in, sharing stories in the hopes that they would unite everyone against bullying. In this moment of insight, Tyler and his friends had shifted the balance of power. With their renewed courage, they transformed the narrative around bullying from a whispered concern into a loud, collective demand for respect. The community began to realize the importance of each person's role in creating a safe and supportive environment, and they knew this was just the beginning. As the sun began to set on that eventful day, a new era of hope and transformation dawned for Maplewood. After the protest, everything changed for Tyler and his friends. Each of them had a new sense of purpose, and they buzzed with excitement about what lay ahead. Though the initial surge of energy felt overwhelming, they knew they needed to keep that momentum going. Tyler began to receive messages of support from classmates and even from kids at other schools, sharing their own stories of pain but also of bravery. It felt good to know they were not alone, and their messages opened the door for even more conversations. But even amidst the victory, some struggles remained. A few students were still reluctant to accept the wave of kindness. Tyler noticed that some of those who had bullied him in the past remained quiet and withdrawn, unsure of their place in this newly rising tide. One boy approached Tyler during recess one afternoon, looking conflicted. He had once taunted Tyler, but now he wore a pained expression. "I didn't know you felt that way," he admitted. "I kind of get it. My own family doesn't always accept me either." Tyler realized then that even the bullies needed help and understanding. This shared moment was valuable and sparked a discussion among Tyler, Lizzy, and their friends about the importance of empathy. They resolved to bring the idea of understanding into their kindness club, encouraging everyone, whether they had been a victim or a former bully, to share their own feelings. They learned that resilience isn't about never feeling pain. It's about how one grows from that pain. The school administration also took note of the shifting atmosphere. Recognizing the need for ongoing support, they announced the creation of regular feedback sessions where students could share their concerns about bullying anonymously. They encouraged students to report issues and speak openly, allowing them to share what they experienced and suggest solutions directly. Tyler felt his heart swell as he realized that their journey was leading to real change in their school. While these steps were encouraging, challenges loomed on the horizon. Resistance from some parents persisted. A special meeting was held at the town hall to address concerns about the new policies. Tyler's heart raced as he listened to opinions that pushed back against the need for stricter rules. Some people feared that the new policies were unnecessary or overly strict, claiming they would limit free speech and individual expression. It was a tough crowd, and doubts began to creep in. Would their work be in vain? Determined not to let fear take over, Tyler and Lizzy spoke up at the meeting. They shared stories of their struggles again, reminding everyone of how deeply words can cut. "We don't want to stop free speech," Lizzy explained, "but we do want to inspire kindness and show how important it is to listen." Their words struck chords as tears glistened in some attendees' eyes. The intent of their mission seemed to take root in many hearts, yet the path forward remained uncertain. Afterward, Tyler and his friends took a moment to reflect. They understood that change does not happen overnight. It needs time and patience. Their commitment to a kinder school environment was growing, but they knew they had to keep being brave, standing up for what they believed in. By offering chances for every person, both victims and bullies, to express themselves, they could truly work towards reconciling the differences. As they discussed the steps ahead, the community rallied around them. Initiatives like kindness posters and open mic storytelling events began to appear in classrooms, encouraging everyone to share bits of their experiences. The leadership in the school grew increasingly supportive, striving to establish strategies to account for bullying both in person and online. Tyler felt optimistic and inspired, believing they could transform the culture of their school. This chapter had revealed the depth of connection within their community. Though challenges would continue to emerge, this pivotal moment provided invaluable lessons in empathy, resilience, and the understanding that change begins not just with words, but through action and shared experiences. With committed hearts, they knew every effort mattered in making a lasting difference against bullying. In the days following the powerful protest and the community discussions, a wave of change swept through Maplewood. For many students, life felt different. Tyler and Lizzy noticed an immediate shift in the school's atmosphere. Kindness was everywhere, and students were made more aware of how their words could uplift or hurt others. The bravery shown during the protest had sparked a ripple effect, encouraging everyone, students, teachers, and parents, to take a closer look at how they interacted with each other. New initiatives were brought to the forefront. The school announced bi-weekly assemblies focusing on empathy and respect, offering students a space to share their thoughts and feelings. For Tyler, these moments of connection were incredibly fulfilling. He felt proud of his school's efforts to create a supportive environment. More each day, conversations spilled into lunchrooms, hallways, and classrooms as students found it easier to connect and engage with one another. However, while many embraced these changes, there were students who still struggled to keep up. Some kids, having been bullies before the turning point, found it challenging to adjust to the new, kinder environment. Tyler heard whispers of frustration as some felt singled out or attacked when their old behavior was brought up. These sentiments showed that old habits die hard, and change isn't easy for everyone. The community's focus was not only on the social aspects of bullying, but also on the necessary structural changes. Schools started working closely with local government officials who listened to their concerns. Together, they crafted policies aimed at providing resources for students accused of bullying. Programs designed to help these students gain better communication and coping skills launched soon after. School staff received training to recognize bullying behaviors and how to engage appropriately, ensuring that everyone felt supported. In response to the changing climate, parents became more involved as well. Many joined parent-teacher associations to strategize on ways to keep students safe. They wanted to establish a continuous line of communication between home and school, understanding that active parental involvement could help reinforce the message of kindness outside school walls. Tyler's mother volunteered to lead workshops that would aid parents in confronting bullying behaviors and discussing issues surrounding mental health, empowering them to support their children. Community organizations also began reaching out, eager to spread awareness outside school settings. Local businesses joined the movement, involving employees in training programs teaching them how to engage with teenagers effectively, particularly the ones who felt marginalized. Shops offered platforms for students to showcase their artistic talents in efforts to boost self-esteem. The excitement spread, and soon neighborhood festivals celebrating diversity and inclusion began sprouting in Maplewood. Despite the positive strides, Tyler and his friends' new challenges remained. Some people were resistant to change, clinging to their old beliefs about bullying being a normal part of life. As more individuals spoke up against this outdated mindset, it highlighted the urgent need for open dialogues. Discussions about empathy, acceptance, and understanding became louder as teenagers banded together, creating online platforms where they could connect both in and out of school. While some lingering problems persisted, the movement fostered an unprecedented openness, and the conversation flowed freely. Tyler reflected on how far he had come and how quickly things had changed. What began as whispers of hurt has transformed into discussions filled with hope and possibility. He learned that change requires effort and understanding, but also that every small step taken collectively can lead to significant growth. As time passed, it became clear that healing was a journey, not a race. Everyone involved had a role to play. For Tyler, this meant continuing to share stories and inspire others, using his voice as a bridge to create deeper connections between students and the community. The foundation laid by their combined efforts promised a better future for Maplewood, one built on kindness and understanding that they would forever cultivate. As the months passed in Maplewood, the community began to notice lasting changes that rippled beyond the school walls. The anti-bullying initiatives gained traction, and students felt a greater sense of security as kindness replaced fear in many corners. In classrooms, collaboration and teamwork flourished. Teachers saw students working together in ways they never had before, openly communicating about challenges and celebrating each other's successes. However, while the overall mood shifted toward positivity, new challenges began to emerge. Some students, faced with a suddenly friendly environment, started to express their unease, feeling the pressure to constantly act cheerful. They worried that sharing their struggles was no longer acceptable. With so much emphasis on kindness and support, some kids felt they might appear weak if they shared their true feelings. This internal conflict led to isolated struggles, as the expectation of constant happiness added a new layer of tension. Tyler observed this shift among his classmates. While he remained committed to promoting kindness, he began to advocate for the importance of honesty in expressing emotions. He understood firsthand that it was okay to feel sad or overwhelmed sometimes. This realization inspired him to organize sessions in the Kindness Club specifically focused on emotional well-being. "It's not just about being nice, but also being real. He often reminded his group members, "It's okay to show how we feel." To address the rising discomfort among some students who felt unable to share their struggles, they included discussions about mental health in their initiatives. Local mental health professionals volunteered to come into schools and talk about emotional health. Their sessions helped students learn ways to cope and talk openly about their feelings without fear of judgment. Tyler and Lizzy facilitated these workshops with great care, emphasizing that everyone has ups and downs in their lives. At the same time, a fresh debate began emerging over how to deal with remaining cases of bullying that still slipped under the radar. Many students still faced unrecognized harassment, often happening quietly or in digital spaces. While schools had taken measures to create a safer environment, not all strategies were equally effective. This realization resulted in constructive conversations about expanding efforts into the digital realm, where online bullying often complicates the matter. With increased attention to the effects of social media on bullying, local organizations decided to provide resources on this topic. They organized community talks where students could learn about responsible online behavior and the impacts of cyberbullying. This became crucial, with many kids misusing social media without realizing the potential harm of their words. Workshops focused on digital citizenship encouraged respectful communication online and highlighted the importance of reporting hurtful comments to adults. Despite these initiatives, tensions occasionally escalated within the community. Some parents voiced frustration over how to discuss these programs with their own children, fearing the exploration of bullying might lead to their kids feeling too burdened by the topic. "I just want them to be kids," one parent shared during a town meeting. "Now it feels like we have to teach them so much about how to interact, and it sets them up for guilt rather than joy." Tyler and his friends recognized these concerns and sought to develop balanced approaches that celebrated positivity while allowing students to understand that struggles exist. They focused discussions on resilience and how life involves learning to grapple with feelings without labeling them as weakness. "Being kind doesn't mean we can't acknowledge pain," Tyler often replied in those moments, offering reassurance. Through these ups and downs, Tyler continued to be inspired by the growth of his community and his friends. They were navigating the complex emotions surrounding bullying and acceptance, learning how to be true to themselves while uplifting others. As new issues surfaced, they embraced the chance to work together and keep evolving, knowing that positive change happens one step at a time. Integration always required flexibility, but each lesson learned deepened their commitment to compassion, understanding, and connection. In Maplewood, change remained a living process, always adapting and growing with each experience they faced together. As the school year drew to a close, an undeniable sense of transformation filled the atmosphere of Maplewood. Tyler stood in front of his classmates, reflecting on the journey they had all taken together. What began as a series of painful experiences had blossomed into collective growth and understanding. Tyler felt proud to be part of a community that not only acknowledged the existence of bullying but also actively decided to confront it. Their perseverance had laid a foundation for lasting change, and he could feel that the ripple effects would extend far beyond the school. Students now openly discuss feelings and experiences more than ever before. The fear of criticism had subsided, allowing everyone to share their truths. Hicks that long plagued conversations about bullying being just part of growing up began to fade in the face of a more thoughtful dialogue. In every classroom, there had developed a culture of respect, and students learned how to agree to disagree and cultivate an environment where differences could be celebrated instead of ridiculed. Local leaders took notice as well. As townsfolk debated about policies for better education and emotional support, conversations shifted. Governments began to invest in mental health resources alongside anti-bullying initiatives. Funding was allocated for programs dedicated to teaching empathy, respect, and collaboration among students. Schools adopted inclusive curricula, integrating lessons on emotional intelligence that amplified the work Tyler and his friends had inspired. Helping to teach children how to navigate feelings not only equipped them to handle personal conflicts, but also prepared them to face a diverse world. Tyler looked around and felt a deep sense of gratitude. The Kindness Club was now thriving, with new members eager to participate in their newfound efforts. His heart swelled with optimism as he imagined future generations of students learning the importance of compassion from a young age. But even as he envisioned good outcomes, he recognized that vigilance was needed to ensure these positive shifts endured. One of the most crucial lessons learned through this process was that addressing bullying requires continual effort. It wasn't just one spectacular protest or one inspiring speech that created change. It was the everyday commitment of students, teachers, and parents to foster kindness in their communities. Long-term solutions depended not only on calculated strategies, but also on individuals willing to be part of the solution. The statements from earlier town meetings echoed in Tyler's memory. "It's not just about the kids, it's about all of us." Parents realized they needed to lead the way by demonstrating open dialogues about feelings at home. This laid the groundwork for a broader societal impact. As people learned about the importance of kindness in school, they also began to reflect on how that applied to workplaces, community organizations, and neighborhoods. More social gatherings encouraged open conversations, stressing empathy and collective strength. Companies in Maplewood initiated training sessions on creating healthy work environments reflective of values instilled in students from a young age. Tyler knew they still faced ongoing challenges. Even with progress, individuals would sometimes fall back into old patterns. That's why support systems, like confusion-reducing art workshops or community support chats, needed to remain in place to address relapses. Additionally, taking bullying outside school walls became the next frontier. Working towards compassionate workplaces and inclusive neighborhoods meant continuing the dialogue and finding solutions for unseen bullying, whether in professional environments or everyday encounters. Ultimately, these realizations solidified Tyler's understanding that every person had a part to play in this journey for change. He felt a sense of duty to remain engaged, to share his voice, and continue advocating for kindness. The growth of Maplewood wasn't an endpoint, but a commitment. Looking to the future, he saw a community that could bloom into one where everyone thrived, supported one another, and fighting against bullying was part of their everyday existence. With a hopeful heart, Tyler whispered a promise to himself. He would keep being part of that change, surrounding himself with the power of kindness and reminding others that every action matters. In Maplewood, the warmth of unity shone brighter than ever, crafting an inviting path towards a kinder, more supportive future.